Hello, Degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I am AJ. This always is my co-host Noah. Um, Please like, share, and subscribe to the video. It helps us fight against the YouTube algorithm. Follow us on Spotify, obviously, and follow myself on Twitter at Brofict1, Noah at N_Engelbretson. Noah, a lot going on in the sports world. Let's start with the big thing that happens once every 4 years. We still have the Olympics going on. My favorite story of the Olympics so far is Simone Biles. She actually came back today, August 3rd, this morning, and won a bronze medal in the beam. Good for her. I'm so happy she came back. Go America. She is all the way back. She's still the GOAT. She was going to be the GOAT regardless of what happened. But I think this just cements it even more that she got through mentally and was able to bring home more medals for the U.S. What do you think, Noah?
Yeah, I was glad to see her compete in at least one of the individual events. Wasn't a gold, but she's going through a lot, so still being able to medal and be on that podium is pretty huge. That was cool to see.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, props to her for getting the spinnies or the twisties figured out, coming out of something that mentally, especially when you have to spot yourself in the sky like that. If you don't trust your body, then yeah, you could get injured really bad. And I'm glad that she took the safe route. And she also wasn't selfish and taking that spot away from her teammates and still letting them compete. And a lot of them doing really well and winning medals and getting opportunities that they wouldn't have gotten, excuse me. So Simone Biles, all around, great teammate, great athlete, go.
Yeah, I mean Suni Lee too,
Yeah.
with her stepping up huge, winning both a gold and a bronze. Gold in the all around, and I think bronze on the bars or something like that. But she came up big, product of St. Paul, Minnesota. So
Hey, there we go.
gotta
We
love
love to
that
hear
as
that.
well. But uh, yeah, I mean, interesting developments, but it's good to watch. Good to watch Simone get back to getting a medal there.
Most definitely. Shout out to another Olympic U.S. Team doing really well right now. Men's basketball brought the dub in the quarterfinals against Spain. Good W there. Um, Spain is strong though. Ricky Rubio, what was he looked like he was 23 trying to prove a point, like he was playing Kobe Bryant, MJ at the same time. Like, wow, wow, what a guy last night.
Yes, sir. Olympic Ricky on a different level, man. Oh
Yeah,
my God, I was a little nervous because I, really wanted the United States to win, but man, that was a fun game to watch from
really
Ricky.
was.
It was him and KD were just both putting on a show for their respective teams. I know they weren't, ever really going against each other because major position difference, but man, that was fun to watch. I've never seen that out of Ricky before, but I guess you give the men the ball, and instead of telling them to just play point and pass the ball or whatever, and just tell them, hey, you're the man. And turns out he can produce. And Drew Holiday is supposed to be this fantastic all-star defender, and he was on Ricky Rubio most of the time when Ricky was in, and Ricky did not care. Ricky just blew past him straight to the rim, 3 pointers, anything.
Yeah, that was the most aggressive I've seen him play in a while. And don't get me wrong, Spain has won all these accolades. They just won the World Championships in the FIBA, and I believe they placed as well very high in the last Olympics. It's a bummer for them to get bounced so early, but they just can't beat the U.S. That seems to be the tale, especially when we can throw a real team together like we did. I'm glad to see that the boys are gelling. I'm glad to see that they're doing well. Let's go over to two more medalists in the Olympics, two golds actually that occurred on Sunday, but in the same event. Now, don't get me wrong, this has been beaten to death, but this I think is atrocious. I think this is disrespectful to the Olympic Games. Um, if for those of you who don't know, two high jumpers from Italy and Qatar tied in the finals or something, and they decided they would both share the gold, like they were both gold medalists. I'm not watching the Olympics to watch people tie. That's why I hate soccer. That's why I don't watch regular soccer. That's why I watch playoff soccer. Same with hockey. That's why I watch playoff hockey. I want to see someone win. I want to see the best. And to watch these people who are supposedly the best at their craft, which they are, obviously, they tied for gold. But you're telling me that one of them didn't have just a little bit more? One of them wasn't just a little bit better? I think it is completely disrespectful to all the Olympic athletes that they think that there can be another one up there. There's only one person who can win the gold every year in that event, and I think it's ridiculous that we have two in the high jump.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of disagree. Just with that situation. Also, first off, I didn't even know that was a possibility that you could
Right?
tie for a gold. But apparently, somewhere deep down in the Olympic rulebook, that's something that can happen. I don't think that's ever happened before in any event. But I don't know. Just given the nature of the event with the high jump, both those guys tried. They were tit for tat with all these different heights going up and up and up, and they both tried like multiple times at this one height, couldn't get it. So it's like they're not going higher. That
Okay.
was not going to happen. And so then at that point, it just becomes an endurance competition rather than a high jump competition, which is why I think in this scenario, I think it's a good thing. I don't think, because it's not the nature of the event if you just keep making them go at a lower jumping height until one of them just can't make that height.
So fair enough, but then why don't we just go take it down a little bit to the height that they both made, the last one, and best two out of three? Because are you telling me that, let's say we have two javelin throwers, they throw at the exact same, and for the gold medal, it's their last throw. They wouldn't do a three throw, four throw playoff. You know what I mean? Like the fact that there's nothing to back it up is ridiculous, and that the fact that they didn't see this coming is unbelievable. And again, shouldn't happen. You can't let this happen again.
I don't know. I think the javelin example is a completely different story. Like, um, like I said, I mean, it's just like if you lower it and just have them keep jumping, it just becomes an endurance competition, which is not what they're trained for. That's not what they're training for. That's not the event.
Fine.
It's not how many times can I jump X high. It's how high can I jump, and both guys could jump the same height but couldn't go any higher.
Yeah,
So I don't have a
regardless.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, regardless. I mean, these two are doing things that I could never dream of doing. So, I mean, congrats on getting the gold. Tying is, something else, I guess, but they'll live with it. They got Olympic gold. Good for them. That's all I really have for the Olympics. Noah, do you have anything else you want to talk about regarding that?
Yeah, well, just the last thing about that is the other thing too is if down the road when they're talking to their kids about it, they don't have to say they tied for gold. They can just tell everybody, "Hey, I won an Olympic gold medal." You can just omit the part where you tied for it.
Hey, realistically, you're winning an Olympic gold. I don't think it matters if you tie. It's a three-way tie, whatever. I think it matters that you won Olympic gold. Um, Good for them. So another big thing going on in sports. It's hard to watch anything and not hear about it whatsoever. NBA free agency started, and it started with a firestorm, an absolute firestorm. Everyone was getting signed, it seemed like, and everyone was getting these huge deals. Trey Young, for example, 5-year rookie extension, $207 million. Go you, dude. Lonzo Ball, 4-year, $85 million. Kyle Lowry to the Heat, 3-year, $90 million. Amazing stuff. Chris Paul coming back to the Suns. Thank God. He had me sweating that one out a little bit.
Yes,
But he'll be with us for a
sir.
little bit.
Yes,
4
sir.
years, 120 million. However, the fourth year is voidable. Um, but that's going to be an issue after the Suns win 2 more championships. But the Lakers, they went on an absolute buying spree. They looked like the Patriots did this last offseason. Carmelo Anthony signed for a 1-year deal. You got Dwight Howard coming in. We already had the Russell Westbrook signing happen. And honestly, just a laundry list of players, I hate to say it, that out of their prime, not really worth the money you're signing them for, not really a championship team. Um, let's start generally. Noah, what do you think about the NBA draft? I mean, the free agency. Who do you think came out on top? And then what do you think's going on with the Lakers and the antique shop there?
Well, for the Lakers, I disagree with the comparison to the Patriots. The Patriots they were shopping at a high-end outlet mall. The Lakers are shopping at the dollar store at this point. Not the dollar store, sorry. They sell new stuff at the dollar store. They were shopping at the thrift store. That's what I meant.
Gotcha.
Lakers are going thrift shopping, buying other people's old used goods. Los Angeles Lakers, or the Los Angeles retirees. I don't know what we should call them at this point, but
I mean, I will say really quick.
Surprised at this point if they try to get Vince Carter or like Richard Jefferson or somebody out of retirement.
Hey, get D-Wade out.
He'll be happy. Pace they're on.
And the thing that I think kind of blows my mind is you hand this to any regular NBA fan, like someone who's just a casual fan and enjoys watching the games. You hand them their lineup. That seems like a pretty stacked lineup. These names and everything. We also have Carmelo Anthony going there, like I talked about earlier.
In 2014, maybe.
Don't get me wrong, in 2014. And this is 2021 now, and it's going to be 2022 when we go into the finals. Do you think they have any hope whatsoever with how young and how fast this game has gotten? And, you got a young team like the Suns with a veteran leader like Chris Paul who can still put in 40 minutes a game if he needs to. How do you think the Lakers are going to stack up against all these younger teams who can actually move around and stay on the floor longer and aren't honestly going to get injured as fast or as often?
Well, that's just the thing, one word or question, maybe even health. I think they're legitimate. They're a legitimate like top 3 or 4 team in the league if that core of Russ, AD, and LeBron is healthy. The problem is, I'm skeptical that AD and not Russ. Russ he didn't really get injured very often, but I'm skeptical that AD and LeBron can stay healthy through a whole season and a whole postseason. Like that's what makes me nervous about this Lakers team, because if they're missing one of those 3 pieces, they're in trouble. Because you look at the guys they're signing. I mean, they've like Melo and Trevor Ariza have been like decent role players with their respective teams, even in their older age. But I don't think you can ask either of those 2 guys to like step up and be like a main guy in a rotation and ask them to produce a lot. They might like 1 out of every 4 or 5 games, but I don't know. I don't want to 37, 38-year-old Melo, whatever he is, shooting like 20 shots a game.
Oh my God, that's the last thing I want, dude. Like, I mean,
so that's I guess my answer to the question is yes, they're a legitimate threat if they can stay healthy. If they don't stay healthy, it's going to be like a repeat of this year. They're going to squeak in at like a 6, 7, 8 seed in the playoffs, and they're going to lose in the first round.
Well, hey, I will be taking the under on total wins for the season at this point. I mean, I just don't see. I don't know. Obviously, that's how why we play the games and everything, and we'll see. Who knows? Maybe everyone's like, "Yo, we're all here. Let's actually try this time." And maybe they look like they're 25 again. But with the older guys that I've been seeing in the NBA, especially last year, that shorter season really took a hit on them. That shorter off season really took a hit on them. So we'll see if that carries over into next season with a regular off season and everything like that. What about generally? I mean, the Heat, they just kind of came out of nowhere, signed a bunch of people. What do you think about the Heat next year? Because they obviously had a great run in the bubble, not too bad of a run last season. What do you think they look like with all these signees?
Well, obviously they were the biggest surprise of the bubble. I would say the Suns were probably number 2, but the Heat, making the finals out of that was really big. And then, this past year they got swept in the first round, which they, what can you say? They lost Jay Crowder.
Yeah. That's really big.
That's about it. All the man does is make the playoffs and make runs. But no, they're stocking up. They're beefing up. The Kyle Lowry adding him.
That's big. That's huge.
They're
Huge.
they're making a lot of moves. My problem with it is they're going to be a contender in the East, but I still don't think they're even like top 2, maybe not even top 3. I mean, I think Philadelphia, Brooklyn, and Milwaukee are still going to have better rosters than them. So,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean,
But I think
they're making all these moves and adding all these players to still be like 4th best in the East. It's like we'll see. And obviously, if they make another NBA championship, if they win an NBA championship, it's all justified, and I'm an idiot and I'm wrong. But I just don't see them having the firepower to get like past a healthy Milwaukee, a healthy Brooklyn, or a healthy Philadelphia. We're yet to see all the complete moves that Philadelphia makes, but I can't imagine. Ben Simmons will be hard to trade. I don't even know if they're gonna trade Ben Simmons yet or not. They may choose not to, and who knows what that could entail. But
yeah,
I just I still only, after these moves, still only see him as like the 4th best team in the East.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Heat, I think they will be good. I think it's going to be all about how well they gel. And really, Philadelphia, I've kind of been like, I was hot on them going into the playoffs and everything. I thought they were going to make a deep run. But after their performance in the playoffs and really kind of how they played during the regular season, I don't really see them above top 7, top 8 team. But again, honest to God, I don't know enough about basketball to even dip my toe into that argument. So, what else? Anything else that excited you about free agency, or anything you're looking forward to? Anything other teams need to add that you're looking
The
at?
the Bulls, man. I mean, they're making money moves right now.
Yeah, they are.
And by money moves, I mean they are spending money like they have an unlimited amount.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, they had those big
I
signings. I mean, they had
and
Lonzo Ball to sign and trade, 4 years, 85 million. He's going to be great there. God, they signed Derek DeRozan, right? I want to say
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan. He's going to be a big asset. I think the Bulls are going to make a run. I don't think they're anywhere near playoff contention, but I definitely think this year is going to be a good starting point, and I think it's a good building point going into the future.
No, they'll make the playoffs with this roster, with beefing it up.
You think so? Really, the playoffs?
They're just not going to have a top 4 seed. I mean, they're going to get like a 6, 7 seed maybe with the new roster, and that's another case of like spending a lot of money to not even. I mean, I guess you give yourself a chance, but I do think Miami has a chance at like possibly winning something. The Bulls, I don't think they have a chance. They'll win more games, which maybe that's what they're trying to do, is like bring in more revenue by winning more games and like start contributing to having a winning culture again.
Yeah.
Which could be their motivation. And if that's what they're trying to do, I don't blame them at all. Good. Like, get more fans in the stadium, get more revenue in by getting more of the fans interested and on board. But I mean, they're not poised to make a deep run or anything.
No, absolutely. But again, all they need to do is half decent and people will come. This is the drum we have been beating on this show, is that these owners need to understand, once you do good, we will come and watch. Again, I don't want to get blown out in the 6th inning by 11 runs and spend money on a ticket. I want to go and be competitive somewhat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it helps to be in Chicago. I mean,
yeah.
big market.
Huge market. And they really need to start capitalizing on that, right? Because Chicago fans, as we know, are cold. We will run anyone out of town. Simple as that. But yeah, anything else on the NBA?
It is good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Just overall, it's good to see the East. Some of the teams in the East bulking up, beefing up. You got to, and on the flip side of that, you got like the Trailblazers probably getting blown apart. I mean, Dame, we'll see. Who knows? He might end up on the Knicks, and then we might actually have like balanced conferences for once.
No. No way. That would be something. That would be something. Well, with
But
basketball,
but
sorry.
I do like. Oh, I was just saying, I do like that the East and the West are seemingly are getting closer overall, which I think is always a good thing. I mean, to have your two conferences in any sport, you want them as even as possible. That makes playoffs, regular season, everything just that much more exciting.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And
it's a
with
good thing
declining
that's
ratings,
happening.
the NBA definitely needed some kind of a boost, and hopefully, this is what it gives them so that they can get back on track. Let's talk about something that's not really on track whatsoever, because every time I hear about it, I'm more and more confused, and it seems like more and more people um, are just jumping ship and think the SEC is the holy land. But apparently, the Pac 12 doesn't want to dissolve and they want to recruit some more people and another division. I don't know enough about college sports. No, I know you are a college sports fanatic. I know you got a little something about this. How about you run me through what you see and what's going on with the conferences right now? Because in my opinion, it's a mess. I have no idea what the NCAA is doing, but it's a mess.
Yes. So to recap that, most recent news after Texas and Oklahoma most likely moving to the SEC now. Apparently, Florida State and Clemson also want to move to the SEC.
Oh, really?
That would put the SEC at 18 teams. However, I don't think the SEC is just going to absorb, everybody and become like whatever. The way I see it is, so we have 65 power conference schools right now, right?
Mhm.
You add 7 more, that's enough to make 4 18-team conferences to match what the SEC is at. Now, Big 12, they're going in shambles. They're getting
Yeah, they're done.
dissolved. So they're all those teams going elsewhere. So my very short, quick proposal on this, my hypothetical, not that this is going to happen or anything like that, but I've got 7 teams being added as power conferences. And those are BYU, Colorado State, SMU, Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and UConn. The
Wow.
reasons for those 7 teams has to do with revenue brought in by their athletic programs. Those are like 7 of the 8 or 9 next teams outside of Power 5. And they all have football and basketball programs that are, historically somewhat competitive at least. So that being said, I have a lot of movement going on with this. My real quick 1-2 minute run through here is, the new Pac-12, Big 12, whatever it's called. We're going to call this new conference the Pacific Southwest.
Okay.
And in the Pacific Southwest, we have the 12 Pac-12 teams. We're adding BYU, Colorado State, and then taking in Kansas State, Kansas, Texas Tech, and TCU. Boom. There's your 18-team Pacific Southwest Conference.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Then you got the Big Ten. Big Ten's at 14 teams right now. They're not losing anybody because the SEC can't mooch any Big Ten teams because Big Ten's the second best conference. They're actually competitive and monetary wise also competitive there. So what I have the Big Ten adding is potentially an SMU, Baylor, Houston, and Iowa State. So, taking in Baylor and Iowa State from Big 12, and then adding SMU and Houston from the American. I have to say, doesn't really help football a whole lot. But that conference, if the Big 10, which now we're going to call them the Big 18, because they're already at 14 as Big 10. Let's keep it real. They need to change the name anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're now they're the Big 18 now. And Houston, Baylor, 2 Final Four teams this past year. Boom, basketball's going to be booming. They were already supposed to be the number 1 basketball school, but we all know how that went in the Final Four, Pac-12 Supreme.
Oh yeah.
And then moving on to the third of our major 4 conferences, because we know what the SEC is already, so I guess the fourth. The ACC. Interesting scenario here because Notre Dame is unaffiliated in football. I think if this all goes through, we're saying hypothetically Notre Dame commits to a conference in football.
Really? Really? Notre Dame's going to commit. Come on, dude. Notre Dame's going to commit.
Yeah, when we get these mega conferences started, they're not going to stay away. They're joining the ACC. And then, so the new ACC would be pretty much the old ACC. So you got your 14, 15 teams there, minus Clemson and Florida State. They add UCF. They add UConn, which will be a huge boost for basketball. UConn also independent in football, by the way, just like Notre Dame. They take West Virginia from the Big 12. And then Oklahoma State, just because they were the weird one. Oklahoma State was just in the middle there. I wanted to give them to the SEC, but then that would put the SEC at 19 teams in this hypothetical and kind of screwed up the math. And so we're putting Oklahoma State in the new ACC.
Wow.
They don't really fit geographically, but
it'll work.
Oh, and Cincinnati, that would be the other new team.
Okay.
In this hypothetical, but
so
not that I think that will exactly happen. That's
but I'm just saying,
me running through it in my mind, getting all excited about it.
Hey, I'm just saying.
But I do think we'll see bigger conferences coming up.
I can't agree more. I think everyone would make more money, and let's be real, college is all about making money. And so I think if all of them can make more money, they will definitely go to these bigger conferences, especially in some way that you are proposing. I'm just saying, we saved baseball our last episode, so what's to say we didn't just save the NCAA? So NCAA, you're welcome. Finish paying your players, and then we'll get paid. And so we'll go from there. But wow, Noah, very insightful. I'm really excited to see what's going on with these conferences. Do you think that we'll get kind of a resolution with these conferences like as the year progresses, or do you think we're going to have to wait until all seasons are done until we kind of hear more about what's going on?
Well, Texas and Oklahoma, they're not moving to the SEC till 2025.
Yeah.
Well, they could move earlier, but right now we're looking at 2025. At the earliest, 2023. And this is the first move. This new news of Clemson and Florida State, I don't know how long that'll take, because apparently Texas and Oklahoma had been talking about this for about 6 months now. So
wow.
I'd give it another 6 or 12 months before we know what the deal is with Clemson and Florida State. And I think the gears are turning, is what I would say. But they're not turning very fast, because all this conference movement stuff in college athletics, it takes a couple of years. So I think it'll be a good 2 or 3 years before we really see the landscape forming on all these, mega conferences. I do think we will start getting these mega conferences. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I do think it'll take 2, 3, 4 years before we start seeing what the landscape was actually going to look like, when we get more rumors popping up about teams wanting to move to other conferences. Especially with the way these conferences are, I think they're going to try to hold these, especially like the Big 12, I think is going to try to like hold on to its identity for as long as possible before it's about to lose 2 more teams and go down to 6 teams. And it's like, oh, well, shit, we got to.
Well, now.
Well, this isn't a conference anymore.
No, it's a mess.
Like I said, they might merge. They might merge with the Pac-12 and become, like I said, that's my name for it. And if they steal it, I'm copywriting that. I don't know how I do that. I'm copywriting it, trademarking it, doing whatever. Pacific Southwest Conference.
Get it all done. We need to get our money back from our colleges. Um, but regardless, we do have college football, I believe, a month away now, right? We're about that 1 month mark.
Yeah, September 2nd.
There
So
we go.
we
Hey,
are
there we go. We are
what,
back. It is almost football season. You'll love to see it. Um,
30 days.
30
30
days.
days.
30 days. It can't get here soon enough. Oh, it's so nice to be back. Um, talking about something else that's going to be back in, what would that be, 37, 38, 39 days. The NFL regular season. We still have training camp going on. Big, big news coming out of the Colts today. Um, Carson Wentz's injury, the one that they were just going to kind of see how it goes and everything. Nope, surgery. He had to have surgery. Had it yesterday afternoon, the second, August 2nd. He will be out for 5 to 12 weeks. Um, now, if he is out for 5 weeks, which everyone who's optimistic is saying he will be, he could be back for week 1 or 2. So if he's back for week 1 or 2, this is no big deal whatsoever. The real issue is when we start to get in that 12-week mark. If it starts to look like it's going to take a little bit longer to rehab, week 8, 9, I believe they have a bye week. No, they have a bye week, week 14, so that doesn't really help. So Colts, no quarterback going into the season. Noah, how did this team just become one of my favorites to one of my least favorites to do well this season?
Well, I could explain to you how that happened for you. They weren't necessarily one of my favorites because I think it was less than a week ago we were talking about. What did I say? Carson Wentz. I said he'd probably play about 8 or 9
Yes,
games this season, and that would
yes.
be it. Now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Indy fans. I'm sorry, Carson Wentz fans. If I caused that to happen somehow in the universe, they heard me and were like, "Yep, Carson Wentz. Here's an injury. He's being out." But I don't want to say, I don't want to brag about being right, but what I say, dude can't
You're
stay
right. You're right.
healthy. He's got bones. I said, I think specifically word for word, I said he's got bones of glass,
Yeah, you did.
and he broke a
Absolutely. We
bone in
can
his
run
foot.
that tape
So,
later. Yeah, it's a definite
um,
bummer. Big thing though, I thought was insane is they're not looking to get another quarterback. As of right now, they are talking about going with their backup, Jacob something or Jack something. I honestly don't remember his name off the top of my head, but they're planning about going with him. And that's after
Jacob
Nick
Eason.
Foles. Sorry?
Jacob Eason.
Jacob Eason, yes. Obviously, better quarterback than I would ever be. He's probably going to be a great quarterback, but he is a rookie. While you have Nick Foles at a Bears press conference begging, essentially, getting on his hands and knees, please get me out of here. Get me out of Chicago. I'm a third stringer. Get me back into Frank Wright. Let me back up Carson Wentz again. Let's make some magic. What are the Colts doing, dude? What do you think's going to happen here? And should Colts fans be worried at all?
There's a lot of options. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't even want to speculate because they do have a ton of options, which is actually kind of a luxury at this point. They could go with Eason, which I don't personally think is the right choice. Rookie late round pick out of Washington. Dude's got an absolute cannon of an arm, but the problem is the only speed he knows how to throw at is cannon. So on those short
True.
routes when he's throwing fucking bullets at the wide receivers and they not on target, and you're getting a full, you're just getting a full pass on a string at your hip. Like that's not an easy catch.
No.
So I don't think Eason's the right choice. I think they should trade for somebody. Obviously, Foles probably my favorite of their options that they have, just because he won a Super Bowl in Frank Reich's offense. Won a Super Bowl MVP, carried them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I should say. Who didn't carry them to that Super Bowl? Carson Wentz, who was on the bench because he was injured, like he has been now. This is what I think 4 out of this will be 4 out of his 6 seasons in the NFL that he'll miss.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to say 4 or 5
weeks for injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, putting Foles back in that Reich offense could be interesting, especially an offense like that where you're not asking your quarterback to throw the ball a ton.
Yeah. You got a solid backfield. You have solid wideouts though that can catch the ball within 10 yards of themselves.
Good defense.
Great defense.
Great defense. Jonathan Taylor was very promising. But after Foles, I mean, I know some people want him to like beg Andrew Luck to come back. I don't think Andrew Luck has any intentions of playing football ever again.
He's done.
Marcus Mariota is another name that's been thrown around. Mitch Trubisky's another name that's been thrown around.
Oh man, he's gonna go win a Super Bowl in Buffalo.
Yeah, no, I think Mitch Trubisky would be foolish. I mean, you know how I feel about him.
Yes, we know how I feel about him.
We don't. But the dark horse option here, which kind of intrigues me, given the fact that Philip Rivers today made a statement that he has not ruled out the possibility of returning to football.
Now hold on.
Which was timing wise very interesting that he made that statement today. Is he trying to get the Colts to bring him back as a starter?
So I read the quote.
He regret retiring already.
So I read the quote that you were talking about. He did say in the quote that he would consider coming back to the NFL later in the season if a team needed a quarterback, because he is committed to coaching high school football right now. He's going to do that until the end of the season. He's committed. He's the head coach. So I don't think, I mean, maybe the Colts put in a desperate call like, hey, Phil, please, dude, please come. Don't let us waste T.Y. Hilton's career anymore. Let's make a run at this.
It's less desperate than calling Andrew Luck. I will just
say
that.
True. Yeah, I will give you way less desperate. At least one of them has played football in the last 6 months. But you know what? Talking about the Colts and everything. Well, actually, one other thing about injuries, just kind of a weird coincidence. Quentin Nelson, a starting guard, very talented. He had the same injury as Wentz today. Also had surgery today. Same time frame, 5 to 12 weeks. They're going to be hurting there. Quentin Nelson is someone who has been an absolute force at guard. So that'll be a rough patch if he's missing those 12 weeks. But hey, good luck to those guys. Quick and speedy recovery. And we can't wait to see you guys back on the football field. But anyway, we're talking about the Colts. Let's just dive into the AFC South, because this division just got a lot more interesting if Carson Wentz isn't starting week 1 or 2. If he's out until week 8, the Colts are going to be in trouble. Their schedule is not easy whatsoever. It starts with opening at the Seahawks, and then the Rams, Titans, Dolphins. You got a W there, but then you're going Ravens. What do you think the Colts are going to do this year? How do you think they'll end up? Just so everyone's aware, to win the division, they're plus 180. Over under on games is 8.5. Whew. That line dropped from 9.5, I believe, the last time we talked about
it. Yeah. I'm actually going to disagree. I think this division's a lot less interesting now.
Why do you say that?
With the Colts regressing with these injuries and stuff, I think this now becomes the Titans' division to lose. Whereas before, I thought it was going to be a good challenge between the two of them, and now I will say honestly, I think the Quentin Nelson injury is more of a deal than Carson Wentz.
Really? Why is that?
Yes. Well, I mean, he's a top 5 offensive lineman in the entire NFL. Like, that's much harder to replace than the 15th, 16th best quarterback.
Yeah, that's fair.
20th best quarterback, maybe. I don't know. But still, Quentin Nelson is a much much bigger loss than Wentz is, and it'll only be for a quarter or half of the season, but still, if you get down, if you're the Colts and you get down 2-3 games in the first like 6 games of the season, back of the Titans, and you're 2-3 back already, like that's gonna be a big uphill battle
Yeah,
because the Titans are a huge they're like a really good fundamental team.
they really are.
You don't ever see them like losing games they're not supposed to, and they're in it in all the games where they're like competitive in, and then when they play teams that they're better than, they don't always fare so well, but they're one of those teams that will never lose a game to a team that's like worse than them.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at their schedule and everything, I would take the over at 8.5. I personally think they're going to go 9-8 this season. I think there are still enough games that are winnable, regardless of who is at quarterback, because I think that offense is going to be humming. I think they did well last year with Phillip Rivers, who, let's be real, no one ever had a ton of confidence in, and they still made it to the playoffs. So that shows that you can put a half decent quarterback back there and they can make those plays and get to the playoffs. Along with that extremely strong defense, I'm 9-8. I think they might be a wild card team. I don't think they win division though. I think they're strong second.
Yeah, I will say it certainly helps to have 2 games against the Texans and 2 against the Jaguars.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
That's may just be their saving grace to squeak them in at a wild card this season, is just the fact that their division is so goddamn weak. But that being said, their strength of schedule is it's an absolute bitch. Like looking at their schedule, they have a god awful schedule. They got a terrible draw this season.
And that's because they did pretty well last season. They, with Phillip Rivers, they made the playoffs, made a good run. They look strong in their losses, and that I think has a lot to do with why their schedule is the way it is.
They finished second in their division though, and they're still getting a rough draw.
Yeah, but I think honestly,
on schedule.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't have to play the NFC West this season, I think it would be a lot different. But since the AFC South is slotted to play them, that's just going to be rough. That's going to be tough. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's the strongest division in the NFL, and it's rough that the worst division in the NFL has to play them. How many games do you think they're going to win? What do you think their record will be?
The whole 5 to 12 week thing is a very like up in the air thing. That with both Quentin Nelson and Carson Wentz, the combination of that plus not knowing if they're going to trade for another quarterback or not. The Colts are a weird team for me. I'm going to have like a pretty big range on them compared to any other team, like maybe the largest range. I put their floor. I'd put their floor at 5-12.
Ooh. Yeah, that is definitely a floor right there.
But I'd also put their ceiling at probably 11-6. So I've got to like they're a weird team for me. I don't know how to judge that. I don't know where they're going to end up. There's a lot of factors still to be said. I can narrow that down once we get like towards the start of the season and have more information. But for now, I mean, I got a good like 6-7 game differential on what could happen with the Colts. So
definitely, and I think that differential is fair. You really just don't know what's going on with that team. We might as well then talk about another team that we have absolutely no idea what's going on with, the Jacksonville Jaguars. You've got Urban Meyer. You got the number 1 pick since he came out of the womb. You've got a brand new facility. You've got a brand new team. Jaguars. The over-under on games is 6.5. And to win the division is plus 700. Vegas doesn't like them. I don't like them. I think they won't be terrible. I don't think they'll lose every game. They play the Texans, so it's going to be hard for them to lose every game. But with that being said, I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence will do great, but he's still getting introduced to the NFL. I don't give a shit how good anyone is in college and high school. You can be the number one prospect forever, but it's still a different game, and it's still, just a completely different speed. And you've heard so many veterans come out and say that. That's why so many college people fail. It's a different speed of the game, and it takes a while to get adjusted to that. So I'll give Trevor Lawrence 2 to 3 years to get adjusted before I really expect anything big from him. But yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you think, Noah?
They're going to struggle. It's everybody loves Trevor Lawrence, but the reality of it is he's on a shitty team.
Yeah.
He's gonna get beat up. We don't know if he's gonna make it in the NFL. Definitely a different game than college. I mean, you could easily go back and look at how many number one picks there have been in the NFL draft in the history of it. And there's been maybe 14, 15 who have even won a Super Bowl being drafted number one as a quarterback. There's been definitely more that have been busts than have won a Super Bowl.
No, absolutely.
I'm just saying, watch out for that. Shout out to Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that poor guy.
Like he was supposed to be a generational talent, and he fucking busted out, like did nothing.
Did nothing whatsoever. So, I will say though,
I'm not on the Trevor Lawrence hype train. I'm not discounting him. I'm not saying he won't be great, but I mean, who am I kidding? I don't think he's going to be as great as people think he is. I think he'll be good. I think he'll have a solid NFL career, but I don't think he'll be like Hall of Fame level.
Okay, who do you think will have?
He's got some.
Go ahead.
He's got flaws in his game.
Yeah.
He's got flaws in his game. I mean, his deep ball accuracy is garbage by like most metrics, like in college. Like if you look at it, and he's throwing to open ass receivers. So you're telling me you're going to be like at an average deep ball accuracy rating when you're throwing to guys who have way more separation than most people have to throw to?
Yeah, they did get him some tools. They got him some toys to throw to. So we'll see if he can make those passes, especially those seams and everything like that. Those stop and goes are going to be big for that offense. And hopefully the running game can get established early. Running game is really big in helping develop a rookie quarterback, and I hope he does develop. How do you think they're going to do this season, though? Record? Do you think they're going to do better than people think? Do you think they're going to win half their games, less than half? What do you think, Noah?
You said over/under is at 6.5.
Last I checked, yes, 6.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'd take that under hard, to be honest.
No, absolutely. Looking at their schedule, the only toss-up game that I really saw was with the Dolphins. I think that one, maybe I'm not really hyped on the Dolphins whatsoever this season. I kind of think Trevor Lawrence can step in and beat them, but I have them going under too. I have them at 5-12 for the season. I think they'll get a couple victories. They play the Jets and the Patriots late. And I think those teams are going to be a mess. I think Zach Wilson will be good on the Jets. I think Mac Jones will be playing for the Patriots at that point. And those teams will be a mess at the end of the season. They're going to be worrying about next season, and they'll squeak out a couple of wins.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing for them is like looking at their schedule. The first two games will be Texans and Broncos, which will be a nice, easy start in to like hopefully try to work out some kinks in there. Then they got the Cardinals at home. Then they play the Bengals, which is another like not super great team.
True.
And they've got the Falcons on the schedule, Texans a second time, and then the Jets. I just 6.5 just seems really high, but I do see them as like a 5 or 6 win team.
Yeah, absolutely. I just definitely
season.
wouldn't take that half. That half is what scares me away from that line.
No, I think their ceiling is 6. I think their floor is not very far off from their ceiling. I think they're somewhere between 4 and 6 wins this season.
All right, we will definitely see how Trevor Lawrence does. I'm excited, but not optimistic. Now, well, let me backtrack. I actually have hope for the Jaguars. Let's talk about a team I have no hope for whatsoever. That's excuse me, the Texans, the Houston Texans, the dumpster fire of the NFL. The team that doesn't have any draft picks for the foreseeable future. The team that decided to trade away all their team for pennies on the dollar and used balls. What a mess. They don't have a quarterback. Deshaun Watson, he was kept out of practice today when everyone reported, even though he was there. That whole Watson situation on itself is a complete mess that no NFL team's going to want to touch until it's completely resolved. Their over-under is 4 games, and to win the division is plus 2,100. Wow. What do you think, Noah?
Plus 2,100. That blows my mind. It should be like plus a million.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, this is a team that could, without Deshaun Watson playing this season, could go 0-17.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
I'm not saying that I would bet on them too, because it's the NFL. Shit's gonna happen. They're gonna find a way to win 1-2 games. But
I
they're
don't know,
terrible,
dude.
man. They have nothing. I don't like both sides of the ball. I don't even like.
Hey, they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, the best running back that apparently is in the NFL that we didn't know about.
For 1 year. The
Did they resign him?
best running back for 1 season.
Oh yeah. 1 season.
And
That
then
was
he
it.
got injured.
And that was a couple years ago.
He had 1 good season.
And here we are. Honest to God, looking at the Texans schedule. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't even need to look at their schedule. Every team in the NFL is better than them.
What about the Jets?
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't win a game against a team that's better than you. It happens all the time, but I'm just saying they will be the underdog in like if Deshaun Watson's not playing, I don't know what'll happen with that situation, but if he's not playing, they will be the underdog in every single game this season.
Easily. I have them going 0-17.
Which,
they're not going to win a game this
year. Doesn't mean they might not win a game or two, but they will be the underdog in every single game.
Yeah,
without Watson.
I'm in the camp. They're not going to win a game. There's just no chance. There's just too much going on behind the scenes that's going to distract everybody. They don't know who their quarterback is. They don't have a quarterback. Watson won't play. Even if he shows up and everything, I promise you, he'll get an injury week 1 that he want to, make sure he rehabs it right and everything. We're not going to see him in a Texans jersey again. I have him at 0-17. No, do you have anything different on that?
Yeah. So I got their floor at 0-17.
Okay.
If Watson's somehow resolves all his off the field issues and everything, and they decide to start him at quarterback, I'll put their ceiling at like 4-13.
That's respectable. That's respectable for Deshaun Watson. I respect that pick. Yeah, he is good enough to lead them to a couple of victories.
So I'm going to go right in the middle. My prediction's 2-15.
All right, Texans going 2-15. says Noah. We'd love to see that. Um, let's talk about arguably the most complete team in the AFC South, the one that I think we both think are going to win the division, the Tennessee Titans. With King Henry looking strong, they looked great last season. Um, over under on games is 9 to win the division, minus 130. Their strength of schedule, I mean, they've got some tough competition, obviously, in the NFC West. And even in
You
the
said nine is their over under,
9 is their over under 9
and what are they? What's their to win the division?
minus 130. Now, granted, the over under Oz over is minus 150, under is minus 125. So not really the best odds on either end, but I mean, I honestly think looking at their schedule and everything, the way they performed last year, I think they're going to be a more complete team. I really don't see how they go under 9 wins.
Yeah, I was gonna say both of those wins are absolute steals.
Yeah, absolutely. Free
Both of
money
those
at this
bets,
point.
rather. I mean, yeah, I know I took the Titans last year at plus 110 to win the division. That was a little bit tighter. I think this is like way more of a lock. So minus 130 sounds tremendous to me. I mean, especially with what's going on with the Colts, the rest of their division. I think, yeah, you can probably chalk them up for a good 5 wins in the division,
Oh, easily.
which
See,
is
honestly,
which is only half the wins you need right there. And then they also have a tougher schedule, but
they do, but I think they're going to sweep the division because they have the Colts early twice,
yeah,
and before week 8. I mean, week 8 is the last week they have them, so that's when Carson Winston maybe comes back. They might keep him off, but I think they might sweep the division. They actually, because they're going to sweep the series between the Texans and the Jaguars. That's just a given at this point. Um, but Wentz out against the Colts, if they don't get another quarterback and their backup isn't going, I see them sweeping the division and then winning that handily.
yeah, their defense is the only thing that makes me nervous.
Fair enough.
Defense and their tight end position. I don't know that tight end will really matter too much when you got Julio and AJ Brown. So you
Yeah.
got two top 15 receivers in my mind. Tannehill, who's an adequate quarterback, and then you got Tractor Cito in the background behind a really good offensive line.
Dude, that guy's unreal.
I would say, Derrick Henry, he's going for another 2,000-yard season, especially with the extra game.
Oh, easy. Easy.
I don't know if this is bet anywhere, but I would take it if it is. Derrick Henry to break the rushing yards record for a single season this year.
Ooh.
I think that extra game will be enough to do it.
Yeah, that would be, if that is on any book, that would be worth a sprinkle. Those odds have to be tremendous. That would be
it would have to be plus odds given the risk of injury and everything like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's one thing I would say to watch for with the Titans is Derrick Henry just to break the rushing record for a single season this year. And they got good receivers, and that offense will be cooking for about probably 30, 31, 32 points a game this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Problem is they're going to be one of those teams that was putting up 30 a game, but also giving up 28 a game. So
definitely the overs on those games will be interesting. I'm interested to see the lines on those games and what the over on points would be. Because if it's 50, I might think about taking the over at least.
Yeah, their defense combined with their really, really difficult schedule. I mean, they might have one of the most difficult. They might have one of the most difficult schedules in the league, if I'm being honest. So,
what do you bet? What do you think?
I mean,
floor ceiling.
I'd still put their floor, barring any major injuries. I'd put their floor at probably 10-7. I'd put their ceiling at like 13-4.
Wow, that's a monster year. I personally have them going 10 and
But
7, just off of strength schedule and everything like that.
my prediction for them is going to be, I think, given the new developments with the Colts and them playing them twice relatively early in the first half of the season, I'm going to put them at 12-5.
12 and 5. That's very respectable. But yeah, Titans are going to win this outright. I don't think anyone would disagree with that at this point, unless Carson Wentz is back in 4 weeks and he can play in week 1. Then I think that might change things a
So he
little
can
bit,
be
but not drastically.
so he can be back and turn the ball over for him.
Hey, it could be a brand new Wentz. He is back with a head coach that he did really well with. I think he can do really well. I think he's back. I think he's all the way back. I don't think he will be nearly as bad as he
Oh,
was last year
oh,
whatsoever.
you mean a head coach that he was with when he got injured, and then another quarterback took over and like carried him to the playoffs and through the playoffs?
Yes, no, I mean
Because that's
that.
how I
I mean
remember
that
it.
coach. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. That's what I meant too.
Oh, okay. So they should trade for Nick Foles so he can bail them out again and win another Super Bowl.
Who cares as long as you got a ring? Honest to God, like I mean, you work hard enough, just like the Olympics. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I think it's stupid that the two guys got the gold medal, but at the same point, like if I was in the situation, yeah, buddy, we tied. Let's go for it. Give me that gold. You know, same thing with Super Bowl ring. I don't care how I win it. I don't care if I'm in the front office. I don't care if I'm an equipment manager. I want a ring. And being a part of that team, no matter what you do, would be great. And they all deserve a ring, all that fun stuff. Um, the AFC South is rough. They might be as bad as the NFC East this year, if we're going to be realistic.
I would say if you took their total record, probably. But like I think Jacksonville and Houston, like the Eagles will be really bad probably, but the Giants will be better than both of those teams. So that's why I'm saying if you take combined record of the division, maybe. But I mean the AFC South is going to be way more spread out than the NFC East.
Yeah.
NFC East is
Definitely.
going to be like none of them other than the Eagles are going to be like super shitty. They're all just going to be kind of shitty. Whereas like the Titans should be a decent team. The Colts, if they can get their quarterback situation figured out without giving up too much in trade value, they should be pretty decent.
Yeah.
Jacksonville and Houston are just going to suck. So
Poor guys. But hey, hopefully, well, I would say the Texans would get the first overall pick, but I don't think they have a draft pick next year, so that kind of blows. Sucks to be the Texans.
Someone's
Good
getting
luck
lucky.
next time. But anyway,
Probably the
before we wrap,
Dolphins stole like all their picks.
all of them, literally every single pick that you could want for the next probably 100 years, the Dolphins have. So good on them. But before we wrap up here, Noah, you have anything else you want to talk about? Anything you're excited about the next couple days?
Yeah. Hey, Texans, they do have that 1/6 round pick that they got for Randall Cobb. So, that's something.
True, that is something. That is a
Drafted
draft
in the
pick.
6th. I'm just waiting for this, hopefully this Olympic gold medal game. Luka Doncic versus the USA.
Ooh.
And, I'm excited for the possibility of that. The only problem with it is I'm going to have a hard time not cheering for Luka. Just it's like a David versus Goliath thing. Not that Luka's by any means a David. He's kind of a Goliath himself. But like Team USA is more of a Goliath than Slovenia. But I mean, I'd love to see us win, but also see Luka drop like 50 points. That'd be a great gold medal game.
And I think either way, I think the US will win. I think Luka's going to drop 50 either way, though. I think there's no ifs, ands, or ups about that. But really quick, Noah, you reminded me this Thursday. It's this Thursday, I believe, right? We have the Hall of Fame game, right? first football game of the preseason.
Yes.
We're back.
Yes.
We're here. It's
We have
coming.
football.
There we go. We
have
got football back.
We have shitty football.
I'll take it.
We have shitty football, but it's still football.
Hey, I will take any football.
It's something.
I'm seeing here now that Heineke was announced to be the starter for the Steelers. Obviously, I don't see the Cowboys starting Dak Prescott whatsoever. In case you're interested, the Cowboys are. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. Let's see. I was gonna say I bet they'll play Dak. Like maybe they won't play him at all, but I don't know. If they do play him, they'll play him like a drive or two.
Yeah, just so we can get the flow back and everything. We'll see though. I know it's preseason. It's going to be crappy football, but excuse me. Cowboys money line plus 100. Steelers minus 1-25. Cowboys are a plus 1.5 underdog. Obviously, like any sane person would stay away from this because it's preseason football. But what do you think, Noah? If you had $100, what would you do?
I'm taking plus odds on any preseason game just because I feel like there's no rhyme or reason to preseason. So that would be interesting to see the analytics on that and see what that would pay out if you took $100 on the plus odds of every single preseason game.
Oh yeah,
that's what I would do. Just because, like I said, I feel like there's no rhyme or reason. It's just like whatever. It's whose third strings are better. Who cares?
I couldn't agree more. Take the plus money. But besides that, we'll be back on Thursday, and we'll talk a little bit football, apparently, with the Hall of Fame game. We'll catch up on the Olympics, more of the NBA free agency craziness that continues to go on. And we'll, I guess, take a look at preseason coming up here next week. So, yeah, anything else you want to add, Noah?
Just, stay crazy, people.
Stay crazy, Degens. And again, like, share, and subscribe.
Don't forget to party.
Don't forget to party. Have a good one.